Hi everybody. I want to talk about something that I saw in the Michael Cohen hearings yesterday, the smear campaign. And it's something that I've done videos about before. It's one of the more popular videos on this tiny little channel I got going on here. So if you go to my videos and sort it by most popular, it should be somewhere near the top. The smear campaign and how to engage it. The Michael Cohen hearing was a days-long smear campaign. And it was actually not a two-way smear campaign. It was more like a smear campaign in the shape of a V. Or like a leapfrog, right? Because what you have is you have Michael Cohen smearing Donald Trump, and you have Republicans smearing Michael Cohen, right? So Republicans smear Cohen, Cohen smears Trump, Trump smears everybody. It was Trump's response was actually short and succinct, and he did bring up a couple of good points, but they're out of the scope of this video. The smear campaign and why you should never engage it. Ultimately, it's because when you get involved with a smear campaign defending yourself, you're not going to change anybody's mind, first of all. If there's already been a smear campaign against you, then it doesn't matter what you say. People are already going to have their feelings, because they're going to either know you to be good or they're going to know you to not be good, right? There's usually very little, if you're the target of a smear campaign, there's usually very little you can do about it. The only exception is if somebody actually comes up to you and says, so-and-so says you did blank. Is that true? And you say, no, it's not true. It's categorically false. But most of the time people don't want to do that because they don't want to be asking an uncomfortable question, right? They really just don't want to be getting all up in people's shit. So most people will listen to the gossip, they'll listen to the smear campaign, but then very few people will actually come to you and ask you for clarification, because they don't want to get thrown into the mix. You know, maybe when people are younger they do that kind of stuff, but once you're into a ripened and mature adult, most people just stay out of other people's business, right? So the deal yesterday with the Cohen hearing is it was already very predictable. You know, Democrats are going to be asking their questions of Michael Cohen to get the most salacious details about Donald Trump onto the record. Republicans are going to ask all their questions in an attempt to discredit him. Like over and over and over. Like, what was it you were convicted for? Lying. Yeah, what were all the convictions? Well, lying and lying and lying and lying and lying. So you're really just a liar? And you already lied here once before, right? Yes. And then you've got Democrats basically saying, what color underwear does Donald Trump wear? I bet he wears pink. You get this whole, well, I guess, V, right? Or you can line them up in a straight line, whatever. But notice one thing. The one thing that did not come out of the Michael Cohen hearing was any new information. No new information. There were no revelations. Nothing changed. There were no Trump supporters who suddenly decided, oh, you know what, never mind, fuck this, I'm not on the Trump train anymore, right? There were no Democrats who listened to Michael Cohen and thought, you know what, he might be racist, but he's the right kind of racist. No, you don't. Nobody had any of these changes of positions, which is why engaging a smear campaign is fruitless and pointless. It sucks when it happens. It absolutely sucks. But you're not going to change anything. You're not going to change the outcome. You're not going to change people's minds. What you will do is you will step into some booby traps that were already laid. Okay? Because the thing with the smear campaign, when somebody does it, they've been planning it for a long time. In fact, usually somebody who's manipulative won't even interact with somebody unless they've got some sort of shit or some sort of dirt that they can use against them, right? Because a lot of times when you have somebody who's a narcissist or somebody who's borderline or somebody who's got that perpetual low self-esteem and feeling of being vulnerable and insecure, they're going to want that feeling of security. Like, I could absolutely destroy you if I wanted to, but I don't want to, so I'm not gonna. But I have the power, so don't mess with me, right? That's kind of like their security. That's how they feel secure entering into a new association. So when there's a smear campaign launched against you, it's been thought about for weeks. And I can promise you, if you choose to engage it, makes it worse. Because they thought of that. So the only answer, the answer is, and you're not going to want to hear this, don't engage it, don't say anything. Right? Michael Cohen wasted a bunch of his time and everybody else's time. He doesn't look any better than before. Right? So he suddenly look like a stand-up guy? No, he doesn't. Does Donald Trump look like a better guy? No. Does he look worse? No. We just got some confirmation on some gossipy stuff. Anyways, like, most of the stuff that people don't like about Trump is stuff that's just like, gossipy interpersonal stuff they don't like. Stuff like he's a racist behind closed doors. He sleeps with porn stars, grabs women by the pussy, which is illegal unless there's consent, in which case it's not illegal. Or if you're told to do it, right? But that's a whole separate body of water I'm not going to swim in right now. Nothing changed. The only difference is people now are remembering just how big of a piece of shit Michael Cohen actually is. And at the first time around, I think more people would have given him the benefit of the doubt if he'd just not said anything and served his time. Like, no, I'm not going back to Congress. It's just going to be more of a shit show. Right? But he went. And in President Trump's response he's over in Vietnam right now for round 2 of a negotiation summit with Kim Jong-un over denuclearization and peace and all that. Trump did actually make a pretty good point. I don't always agree with him, because I think a lot of it is just smoke and mirrors and tactics. But he did make up a good point. He says, you ever wonder why it is that for the first time in U.S. history, Congress has invited someone to testify who's already been found guilty and convicted of lying to Congress? So somebody goes into Congress, lies to Congress, gets caught lying, gets convicted of felony perjury. They're going to federal pound me in the ass prison. But before they go, Congress wants them to come back and really let's just hear everything again. Let's just hear it all again. We pretty much already know all this stuff, but we just want to hear it come from you again. On the same day that Trump is over in Vietnam negotiating peace with Kim Jong-un. Why? A number of theories, but yesterday I didn't really see a whole lot of news coverage over the peace summit. Yesterday, a lot of stuff in all of my news feeds was all Cohen, Trump response from Vietnam. Right? I think he has a bit of a valid point there. And that's not to say Michael Cohen did have some valuable things to say. Not everything he said was totally worthless. As a human, he's worthless. But You know, he didn't have completely, he wasn't totally useless. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had some very pointed questions for him, and he gave some very good responses. I'm not a fan of AOC. I'm not her biggest fan, but I do have to say, out of everybody that asked him questions, whether or not somebody else wrote the questions for her or not, I don't know. But I'd say that she probably had like the most pointed questions and got like the most actual, tangible, usable details from him out of anybody there. Everybody else was just basically saying, so tell us more about how Trump's a shitbag. Or tell us more about how you are a shitbag. AOC sounded off saying, okay, so give me the details. I want names. Name me some people. Who else knows this? Who else? I didn't really see much of that from anybody else. So as much as I dislike AOC and as much as I disagree with her platform, she had a productive round of questioning, and I'll give her that point. And frankly, there really wasn't much smear campaigning going on during her questioning. There sure as shit was when it was the Republicans' turn to ask questions. That was a whole big back and forth, over and over and over again. So that's about all I got. Yeah, smear campaigns. Oh, I guess to rehash the solution to smear campaigns and what you should do. It's in the other video. It's a good video to watch as well. You just what you have to do when the smear campaign happens is don't talk to anybody about it. Live your life as if it's not going on, because what you've got to do, what you have to rely on and depend on, you have to depend on people's ability to detect bullshit and people's ability to put two and two together and see that something's off and something's not right with what they were told. You know, oftentimes during a smear campaign, they're going to say something like, oh, well, you know, Jimmy's always going around telling people that, you know, I'm abusive, that I'm, you know, this horrible person, that I'm manipulative, and he even called me a narcissist one time, and he's always saying that, you know, he's always just, you know, talking shit about me behind my back, and he's always making up all these stories, which are absolutely not true. Like, I don't ever do those things, but anytime I don't do exactly what he says, he gets mad, and then he's like smears me with my friends to punish me, right? So if I'm not back at precisely 11 o'clock, he tells people a bunch of shit, you know, that's not true to make them not like me, so then friends don't want to go out with me, right? And so then whenever you come in to defend yourself, everything you say is going to fit the precise bill. It's gonna fit exactly what they described you as when you're being a dick, right? So you're telling the truth, except now you look like a dick telling the truth because it's been spun around. So that's the trap with a smear campaign. You have to leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. It's like a snake, right? A smear campaign is it turns people into snakes coiled up, ready to strike. As long as you leave the snake alone, you won't get bit, and eventually the snake will relax and slither away, right? You should treat a smear campaign exactly the same way. It's a social snake ready to strike. What you have to do is walk away from it slowly, no sudden movements. Don't engage the snake. That's how you get bit. Don't run, don't stomp, don't try to scare the snake away, don't try to do anything. You just be still, quiet, back away slowly, and go about your business. And I'm out of time. Thank you very much for listening. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.